Good afternoon, evening. And
Good afternoon, evening.
this is Desert Island Vids, and I always forget to say that. I'm not very professional, am I? As my husband informs me at the end, you didn't say any Desert Island Vids or nothing.
And what are we doing this video for, Rachel? If I could remind you of that as well.
Oh, well, we're doing
What
this
are we
video for Girls Are Loud.
Yeah.
And Girls Are Loud, basically, I came up with the name, which I thought was rather marvellous, because girls are loud as shit, and we are loud.
We're very loud, aren't we? Sometimes to the detriment of our neighbours.
Give it half a minute and we're very loud.
Yeah.
So basically, Girls Are Loud is funding an orphanage for 74 girls who live in an orphanage in Sierra Leone. And this will be for the fourth Girls Are Loud, which is amazing, really, because we've only actually done one in the flesh. So we're now up to 4, which is
When did you do the one in the flesh?
Oh, it was a long time ago now. I think it was over a year ago.
Oh, really?
And what was wonderful was the difference was made because the girls spoke to people through the phone. And I think when you can see the recipient of your work, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's so nice for them to have a focus, especially now, obviously, but at any time for them, because they've lost so much already. And I think when you're a parent, you appreciate it.
The sad bit for me is that they're looked down on in their community for having lost their parents.
So unfair.
And yet now they hold their heads up higher because of this.
They probably feel like superstars that they are. I think, you know, that's the thing. We are all stars. We all come from stars, and we should all act like stars and be ourselves and be happy and be free. And so many people are constrained by whatever society tells them, or what they even think society tells them. I think in my case, it's not so much what society's deliberately told me, it's what I think that society thinks, or I think that those different societal groups think. And it's a load of rubbish. Just be yourself, and free your mind and your ass will follow.
And when you meet somebody personally and you talk to them, you realise that all this rubbish that we've been walking around in our heads, shared by them.
Yeah, and we're all in there.
So this is supposed to be about music, and I see you putting your makeup on. What are you putting your makeup on for, lady?
Well, you know, we've got a show later, so I thought I'd better get started. It takes a long while.
So how long's the process of making up?
Oh, hours, days in this case. No, it does actually take me about a good 2 hours to do my makeup for a show. And I can do it in an hour, but it looks a bit rough. Like now at the moment, I've only done about 25 minutes, and this is pretty rough. But obviously, I'm doing a little bit extra for you guys. But yeah, it takes a while, and then getting the clothes as well, and the costumes.
What's it?
And I've got my hair down at the moment because it's gone so long, although you can't really see very well because of my lovely background. But yeah, it's really long, and I had it was shaved, practically just growing out from being shaved, I think, when I met Eagle, I suppose, something like that. So it's grown loads.
Mine tends to look like a bike helmet at the minute, I'm afraid. So that fluffy
very fetching colour though. No one's going to crash into that.
Oh, no. People come up to me in the supermarket and say they like my hair, and I almost say fuck off, I haven't had it before. But so what's your first song then? What's your first video?
You see, the thing is, it's as a filmmaker, it's really hard for me to pick a video that I like on grounds of like, there's lots and lots of music I like, but I don't necessarily like the video for it, or there isn't even a video for it. So what I've chosen is things that have influenced me highly, and from my childhood, one of the happy memories I have of growing up with my parents is that we listened to a lot of musicals together, and we watched musicals, and consequently my sisters and brother and I would, well, mainly my sisters, my brother didn't really want to entertain it, but we used to choreograph shows to put on for our parents, and we'd dance around the living room, and we look all, you know, Shazam, cabaret style, whatever. And, you know, we were brought up on things like Guys and Dolls and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and Cabaret. You know, we were just so into all of that. But one of our favorite pieces of film and dancing was Broadway Melody section, which is like this sort of imaginary film that Gene Kelly is telling to his studio producer in Singing in the Rain, which Gene Kelly directed and choreographed all of the dancing to. And the most amazing part of it for me as a child was his dance with Charisse, because she looks absolutely fantastic. And I think also because my dad told me when I was little, he said this girl went into dancing, she went into ballet because she had polio when she was a very small child, and therefore I thought, oh yeah, you can do absolutely anything if you put your mind to it. And you know, that really gave me a lot of strength. And but Sid Charisse and Gene Kelly in the Broadway Melody, it's just fabulous. So that's my first video, because that's, I think, the first bit of film that I think really I could identify with.
Broadway rhythm, it's got me, everybody dance. Broadway rhythm, it's got me, everybody dance. Out on that gay white way, in each merry cafe, orchestras play, taking your breath away. Broadway rhythm, it's got me, everybody sing and dance. Oh, that Broadway rhythm. Oh, that Broadway rhythm. When I hear that happy beat, feel like dancing down the street. Broadway rhythm, writhing, beating rhythm. Gotta dance, gotta dance, gotta dance, gotta
a good musical.
Oh, good.
I think when I grew up, I thought it was normal for people to walk around and then suddenly burst into song.
Yeah, well, that's what my parents always did. Whenever something came on the radio, there'll be a song, you know, even if it was just the news, they just burst into song straight away. And we used to laugh when we were kids and laugh at them. And then as I got older, I think we did the whole stupid teenage embarrassment. Oh God, mum and dad, stop doing that. It's so embarrassing. But no, I love it, and I do it still. I mean, I still burst into song quite regularly. Probably not regularly enough, actually.
Oh no, you need to do it more.
Yeah, I think so.
We need more song.
Yeah, I have been concerned slightly that during the lockdown, because we haven't been doing gigs and haven't been doing practice, and I was ill with corona as well for so long, that I haven't been singing enough, and I'm worried that I'm losing my voice. So you'll have to see later if it's still there.
No, you'll be fine, I'm sure. The odd thing for me was, though, that I lived in a house where only Dad performed.
Oh, really?
And Mum used to go outside and hide because she was embarrassed. Even though he sang perfectly fine,
Yeah,
performed lovely, she would
yeah.
find this deep seat of embarrassment within her of other people looking at him.
Yeah, well, that's again from society, isn't it? And thinking, what will the neighbours think, and all of that sort of crap. So it's a real shame that people are so tied down into what they think they should behave as.
Yeah, I think so. So musicals are just, to me, they're just fantastic. You know, things like Calamity Jane, you can't beat it, can you? A bit of whip crack away going on.
Yeah,
crack away, whip crack away, whip crack away.
Yeah, all that.
That's what we need.
And I wanted to be Howard Keel as well when I was growing up. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. So that really influenced me, all of that stuff.
I love all of that. We live in such an odd society that I find people are almost embarrassed more by people crying and upset more by people singing sorry than by people crying. And I've often been in a situation where I've seen somebody crying in the distance and everybody's ignoring them, and I think,
oh yeah,
it's wrong with us.
It is. People walk past, don't they? And in London you see that a lot because it was busy. It's not busy anymore. But I can remember, actually, there was a girl in King's Cross Station, and she only looked about 14 or 15, a young, probably Bengali, I would say, girl, sitting on the stairs at King's Cross Station, and she was looking, you know, really down and miserable and just sitting there, and, you know, she could have just had a row with her parents and run off, or she could have been homeless, but I don't think she was, because she was dressed not too scruffily. And I went up to, and she was begging, and I went and sat next to her, and I said, you know, I really, you know, watch out who you talk to here. And I don't actually give money out regularly to people. I do donate to charities, but I'm worried about giving out money too much to people. Although what we do is, like, we'll buy a sandwich or buy food, or if there's quite a few local people we know at our local Tesco's and co-ops and whatever, and so we'll get them food on the way out. But this girl, and she was so young, and I did say to her, look, you be careful. And some bloke came up to us while I was talking to her. He said, "You're right, love, can I help you?" And we obviously was slightly predatory, and I said to her, just be careful who you talk to and what you do, because I'd hate to think what might happen, because it does happen, and it's very scary. So
it is scary. So what's your second song then?
Well, the second song, it's a funny one, because when I got together with our Candy, there was a particular band that we used to listen to an awful lot, and it was Alice Donut. And I absolutely loved Alice Donut, and it was like the tunes were really, really good. They're quite psychedelic, but really good drumming and rhythmic and in your face. And the singing from Tom Antona is just glorious. I love his voice so much. It's really cool. And so this video, because it's got a whole story with it, and obviously it's not particularly nice subject matter. If you've watched it, have you watched it?
Yeah,
you have. So the subject matter is pretty heavy and not particularly nice, but it also alerts you to what's going on. And I think it's about people being drawn into something and not looked out for by their family. And actually, in a lot of ways, the end result is that, yeah, if you pray, if you're good, then everything turns on right. But at the same time, I think you can also be very skeptical, because Lisa, the song is Lisa's Father, by Alice Donut, and at the end Lisa does say, "Oh really?" And again, it's like, watch out what people say, it might not be true. So you've got to trust your own judgment a lot, and not be too sold down the river, but at the same time have a bit of faith. It's a balance, isn't it? It's like that joke about if a rooster lays an egg on the top of a barn, which way will it fall?
Yeah.
Do you know that joke?
Yeah.
Do you know the answer?
No, can't remember. I'm rubbish at jokes. I can't remember any jokes.
I'm really rubbish at jokes, but this one, for some reason, I can remember. If a rooster lays an egg on a top of a barn, which way will it fall? It won't fall either way, because the rooster doesn't lay an egg.
There you go. That'll do.
So again, it's like, you know, you're bringing someone into some knowledge, but you don't necessarily mean it. It's watch out. But I love it anyway. And also with Alice Donut, I went to a record shop, which is no longer there actually, in Upper Street in Islington. I was looking through records to get for the wife for a wedding anniversary present, which our anniversary for our broom jump is the 21st of June. So it's tomorrow. Sunday. It's the solstice. Oh, I said that wrong, didn't I? Because we're not actually there. It was 8 weeks ago. It's on the solstice. It's in June. Yeah, it's in June 21st in 2003. And for our anniversary, I was looking for a present for him, and I was looking, and I found this white label record, and I'd searched and searched, and it turned out it was Alice Donut's Untidy Suicides of Your Degenerate Children, white label, and had been just put in the really cheap section. It's like, yes, score. I don't often do that with records.
Hi, I'd like to tell a story about something that happened to me. I was sitting home just the other day watching some TV when there was a knock on my door, and I went to the door to see who it was, and it was a woman with no eyes, and she had a stack full of comic books, and she gave me one of them, and she said, "Take it and read." And I took it and I did read, and the story was so moving and compelling that I had to write a song about it. It wasn't one of your regular comic books, rather it was one of those comic books by Chick Publications out in California, one of those comic books that's meant to convert you to fundamental Christianity. And it was a story about a family, and a father's name, his name was Lisa's father. And the mother's name, her name was Lisa's mother. And then there was a child, a 5-year-old child named Lisa. Lisa pure as the driven snow, but she was driven in other ways as well. I'll tell you about that later. Lisa's mother was an alcoholic. She used to sit and knock back JD from 8 o'clock in the morning till she passed out at midnight. Lisa's father, however, he was a sinner of another sort. He was a sinner of a different color, if you know what I'm talking about. He was the kind of man who didn't keep his sinning to himself. Because he was a child molester. This was a man who abused his little daughter, Lisa, every night, every afternoon, every morning. As soon as Lisa's mother was whacked out on JD, he'd go up into Lisa's bedroom, and he'd start wailing away on this poor little kid. Making that sound going, oh, waka, 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 baby, 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 have me a good time, yeah. And one day he was up there doing what it was he did to that poor little girl. When there was a knock on his front door, he tucked in his shirt and he ran down, pulled up his pants, and answered the door quick as he could, and he said, "Oh, who's there?"
Hi, this is Bill, your neighbor.
Oh, hi. How you doing? How's the weather?
The weather's fine.
Hey,
I
how
know
about
what
them
you've been doing with Lisa. But you gotta let me do it too if you want me to turn you in.
And the man said, "Whoa, I'm in the soup now. What am I gonna do? I gotta let him do it to Lisa, or he'll turn me into the police." Okay, you can do it. You can do it too. And that's what happened. Upstairs, the two of them went, and from that day on, the both of them were doing it to poor little Lisa. But one day, the mother tried out just long enough to take that kid to the doctor. The doctor took one look at this kid, and you know what that doctor said?
That doctor said, your daughter has a venereal disease.
And that mother, she put 2 and 2 together mighty fast, I'll tell you.
And she got more.
She knew what was going on down there. She knew what was going on up there. And she grabbed that kid, she started running home. She ran home as fast as she could. And And she ran and she pointed a finger at Lisa's father. And she said,
You repugnant little shit. I hate you. I hate
and
you.
Lisa's father said, whoa, whoa, I'm in the soup now. She knows when I'm in the Lisa. He ran out that door as fast as he could. He started making his way down. To the bridge, just like James Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. He was going to throw himself off that bridge. And just then, a woman with no eyes and a handful of comic books walked up to him in the comic book. Just like the woman in my... And she gave him a comic book and she said, just pray. Just pray is what she said. And the next panel said, 15 minutes later. And he said, whoa, I feel excellent. I'm gonna go home and tell Lisa's mother about this praying stuff. And he said, he ran home and he said, hey, Lisa's mother, listen to this. And she said,
I hate you, you're repulsive.
He said, whoa, shut up, you old cow. Listen to this, dry up and pray.
Pray, that's pray.
And what did it say? 15 minutes later, she says,
I feel great.
and Lisa's father says, let's call Lisa and tell her what's happening around here. They call her Lisa. Lisa's a little scared. She doesn't like the dancing much. You can understand. She says, they say, hey Lisa, we got some good news for you. We're never gonna hurt you. Never gonna hurt you anymore. And Lisa says, oh really? This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. Hey, waka 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 baby baby baby. Waka 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 baby baby baby. Give my finger to have a little party. Give my finger to have a little party. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. 5 years old and already feeling lovesick. 5 years old and already making love kiss. Oh daddy daddy, don't look at me with your big stick. Daddy big daddy daddy, oh daddy daddy. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. Down on your knees and beg for forgiveness. Down on your knees and beg for forgiveness. What the hell's the difference when I take 15 minutes? Who did this shit? Oh, I take 15 minutes. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. This is what I'm forgiving his sins, cause he let his savior in. Oh, really?
Much like you're calling a football.
The wife's very good at records and has a huge amount, and therefore is constantly finding decent ones. Working in all ages helps, and Rock and Roll Rescue, which is where he is now. So he sees an awful lot.
Eagle is so much better than me. When we sorted I recently alphabeticized his vinyl with him.
Oh, lovely.
He had to help me because I didn't know which was the title of the album and which was the title of the
Yeah,
band.
I know, that is such a thing, isn't it? That's one good thing I can say about the wife is the music is really in the right order. He's very, very good at alphabeticizing everything, which is amazing because he is quite ramshackle in some other ways, but he's actually very, 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 very ordered. And the records, they take priority over everything. For one point, it was his record collection, my record collection, and then he's bet me so many times on, I bet that will happen or that will happen. I'll bet it on my record collection, and so I own it. It's been mine for a very long time.
It's yours.
Oh, it is. It's my record collection. So he looks after it very well. Oh dear, my line's gone a bit weird there. I have to straighten myself up. That's better. Yeah, so we're big Alice Donut fans, and we were very, very happy to find out that when the wife wrote to Tom Antona on the glorious days of MySpace, if you remember that far back, and struck up a bit of a repartee with him, and Tom contributed to one of the tracks on our second album and sings on it, so we are just even more over the moon about him being there. And one day I would absolutely love to do a gig with Alice Donut. They did play in France about, I don't know, it must have been about 10 years ago, and they were saying, can you come to it, because it's Europe and they live in the States. And we did look into it, but it was like way out of, it wasn't like it was in Paris, which would have been quite easy to get to. It was way out of the way, and we did consider going, and we would love to, but I think at the time it's just totally impossible. I think maybe Luca was quite small or something, and it was just, we couldn't manage the whole shebang. I would love to, though. But yeah, one day hopefully we will play with Alice Donut because they're wicked. Listen to the rest of their stuff.
Cool. So if you're watching Alice Donut, get in touch because they want to do something with you.
We want to do a gig with you, all of you.
And you said you'd been suffering with coronavirus. So what's that been like?
Well, I think it was on the 16th of March was my last day at work, and I went in and we were discussing about taking turns going back into the office because I do 3 days a week in the university, and so I'm part-time there, and then luckily I can fit around all my other things, all my video stuff and band stuff and tutoring, so that fits in quite nicely. So we were saying, oh, let's take turns going into the office. I went home, watched the news, and considering this, I'd actually been watching all the news reports coming out of Italy all of February whilst we were on tour with T-Bitch actually up north, and all the time I was like keeping an eye on this, thinking this is coming, this is gonna hit us and it's gonna be nasty, and thinking, you know, I don't know why nobody's taking any notice, because there were Italian doctors saying how dreadful it was for months, you know, a good month before it became an issue in the UK, and it was maddening. And so I didn't go into work on the day after the 17th of March, took Luca out of school as well. And I said, I work from home, it's fine, but I'm not coming in. And then I think the following week is when actually lockdown hit, which was on the 23rd of March. And I've been working, I think I've been doing some film editing all the weekend before. And I had this really weird scratchy throat, and I thought, well, I've got a bit of a virus, I'm coming down with something. But I didn't say, oh no, I've got COVID. I wasn't like being hysterical about it, but I thought, yeah, something's going on. And I felt this bit of a claggy throat. And so I thought, all right, I'll just ignore it. And then on the Monday, I started feeling worse and worse. And I was doing this weird cough, and I just was a bit, really pathetic little cough. And I thought, oh dear, maybe this is it. And it kept going on and kept going on. And then I worked from home that day. And then by the next day, I was like, I'm really ill. I can't cope. And so I got in touch with my boss and said, I'm really ill. I'm not gonna come in. I'm signing off work now. And then I was in bed for 2 weeks. And the cough actually went away quite quickly, but I felt completely drained. And the headaches, for me, the worst thing was the headaches. And I was just really in agony with my brain, mostly on the left side. And I was having a temperature bit, but not like raging temperature. Being a woman of a certain age, it's like menopausal. It was like that. It was like hot flushes, and I was thinking, I haven't used my gel and whatever, but I had. And it was just sort of going up and down. It wasn't like a constant feeling dreadful. And I'd have 2 days in bed, and then I'd get up, okay, I'm all right now. And then I'd be back in bed feeling even worse than before. And that happened and happened and happened and happened. And I think I'm still getting over it now, 3 months later. I'm still not quite right. So yeah, I can imagine if you're not mobile, if you're a person that's in a wheelchair and can't get up and move your chest around and empty your lungs, then it'd be very, very easy for you to get very ill very quickly. And so I do feel for all those people who are unable to move around, because I think mobilization really helps the chest, which is partly why I've been worrying about singing, because I really couldn't breathe properly for quite a few times. So yeah, it wasn't nice. And I give my love to all the people who have been suffering from it, because a lot of people I know did, like Rianne from Rianne the Relic, she was quite ill with it. But and also I had one of my friends, Paris, she supported me through feeling ill and was messaging me and feel better and you can kick this bastard, you know, you'll be okay. So it was really useful to have people like that. And Charlotte as well, she's really good, Pink Charlotte. So love to all the people, all the fam who sent me get well messages, because it did make me feel a lot better. Not to say that the wife and child were looking after me.
The reason I was asking is there are still people who are saying it is not real. There are still people
really? Yeah.
who are saying it is the government's attempt to just keep us in our place. And you know, you've got first-hand experience. I haven't.
Yeah. I think it's definitely been a useful time for the government to keep us in our place, and also to get us used to a certain way of living. I do think that is a valid point, but I don't agree that the virus isn't real. And I also don't agree that the virus was made in a lab So, you know, I've got a degree in microbiology with genetics, and so I do understand the science of these things to a certain extent. I'm not an expert, but I do have a basic understanding of genetic code, and there's nothing to say that it has been manufactured. You know, if you say it's been manufactured, then we have all been manufactured, and in some ways you can say, yes, the higher being manufactured all of us. So it's evolving, and I'm hoping that it's evolving to a less virulent strain, because any virus, any parasite doesn't want to kill its host. It wants to let its host survive so that it can spread further. So hopefully it's going to get less virulent, and we will all get over it eventually. But I think it's going to take quite a while for the people who've gone through it. It does still affect me at times.
I do think, though, that it'll be good for people to hear somebody who's had it, who knows how ill you've become. Because unfortunately, we have a Prime Minister who seemingly went into intensive care one week and then was backing down in street. And everyone's going, what? Because I've had family members die.
Yeah.
And there's this idea of him being stronger than other people.
Yeah.
And you being weak for going to bed for 2 weeks. And none of that is acceptable language. But
no. I mean, from what I remember of it, is that if he did have it, and if he is possibly had it, and not too badly, they would have whizzed him into hospital quickly, because they don't want our Fiora, sorry Boris, to be to drop dead. So they needed to take precautions to make sure that he wasn't too sickly. So I can understand that he did get preferential treatment. Whatever you say, he would have got the best treatment possible. Not that all of us wouldn't in our glorious NHS, but they want to make sure that he's not going to go down. But he might not have had it that badly is one thing, or he has had it quite badly, and he did what I did, is like he was ill for 2 weeks and he thought it was all right, got up, did his job, and then was ill again. And you don't see him much, do you? He doesn't turn up very often. So he could have well had it and still be recovering, because it takes quite a while for him to get better. Or he could never have had it at all and it will be a ruse. I can believe that too, because I wouldn't put anything past the government. I really wouldn't. I don't trust them at all. I'm really horrified, not surprised, but really horrified at the way they're behaving. And it's just such a shambles. It's so embarrassing for our glorious country to have fallen so far, and to for people who have voted for the Tory party to still agree that they're doing the right thing. I mean, okay, it's a crisis. Who would have handled it well? Everyone's going to have a bad time. But as a scientist myself, that is not in charge of a whole bunch of people's lives. I mean, I'm in charge of a few people's lives, and I've locked us down really quickly. But as a person or a government or a group of people who are in charge of a lot of people's lives, surely you've got to look after them before the costs. They've actually wasted a lot more money than they could have if they'd shut down straight away like New Zealand, then they wouldn't have been in such a bad state. Or like in Scotland, things aren't as bad either. And in Germany, things aren't as bad. And what do they all have in common as a premier person in charge? I think horrible to say that it's all, well, maybe it was a woman, but I'm not being sexist. I'm just being I guess I'm being anti-Tory. I really am. I'm really furious with them. And at first also I thought Matt Hancock, I was looking at thinking, oh, he's trying, he's really young, he's all right, he's quite fresh out of I don't know what school. But now I'm really hate him because he's taking on the whole Boris behaviour and waffling along and saying that things haven't gone the way they've gone because, oh, well, we've done that right and we've done that right and we've done that right, and ignoring all of the plight of the people who have been ill, ignoring the fact that BAME people suffer worse, and just again saying it's nothing to do with us, and forgetting. It's like what happened this week was, oh, the shops are opening, you can go and spend money, but what if you haven't got money to spend? I was really shocked at that. It's like, what, you think we've been, well, I mean, I have saved a bit of money because I haven't gone and spent it on transport going back and forth to work, so I have saved a bit in some ways, but I've also spent more because the price of things has gone up. But how can you go shopping suddenly when you've not got a good income? They don't understand. They really don't understand
They're not of our world, are they? They're of a different world of their own
No.
imagining.
Mm.
So what's your third track then?
My third track is, well, when we started the band, another thing Candy said is that he wanted it to be a bit like a melange of George Clinton's Parliament Funkadelic, and so it's going to be quite psychedelic, but really together on a sound wave. It's going to have a driving beat. It's going to have important messages. And at the time, I thought, okay, yeah, I guess. But I must say, I've really got, the band hasn't intended all the way to go like that, or maybe that was the intention, but I never really thought about it over the last 14 years that it was going to be like that. You know, it's been going on for quite a long time. But now when I look at it, Anarchist has got many members that come from many different places and also many different backgrounds, and has had lots of different people go through it. So it has been quite a collaborative effort, and it has been a bit like a collective, which is not what I envisaged really. I think it's because when I was younger, I didn't really understand what that would entail. I didn't really see that all of this wonderful collaboration with lots of different people would be a thing, and I really relish in it, because you can, when you sing and perform with and record with other people, you get such a good hit off doing it with different people, because they bring something else, they change the vibe. And that's exactly how George Clinton has put Funkadelic together. I mean, it was started off as Parliament, and they changed. I mean, a lot of the reason they changed is they discovered LSD, and they started jamming out, going crazy. And they, you know, their music is amazing. They had Bootsy Collins join them, amazing bassist. And so all of that together, and then the video of them all arsing about in New York City, jumping around, which funnily enough, actually, Alice Stoner, I believe Lisa's father, was filmed in New York City as well. So you've got two sets of people also running around Central Park. And I hadn't even thought about that until I was writing this to you, Rachel, and saying, you know, these are the videos I want. And I was like, oh, they're actually filmed in the same place, which is nice. Albeit, I think probably about 20 years apart, because Funkadelic is quite a lot older. And you can see Funkadelic coming through now. Well, I say now, but another 20 years back, because it got sampled an awful lot for hip hop music, which I really love. And De La Soul used an awful lot of it. So yeah, Cosmic Slop by Funkadelic with their wicked costumes. I wonder where I got the idea.
And 3 young brothers, we seen it hard, we seen it kind of rough, but always with a smile. She was sure to try to hide the fact from us that life was really tough. I can hear my mother call, I can hear my mother call. Late at night I hear a call, on the Lord I hear a call. She said, Father, Father, it's for the kids, any and everything. Please don't judge me too strong. Lord knows I made no wrong. Lord knows I made no wrong. Then the devil sang, would you like to dance with me? We're doing
And what is brilliant, Emma, is we recently watched a documentary about Parliament and
Oh
them
yeah.
moving into Funkadelic. And
Yeah.
I tell you now, happening people. But at the beginning of the video, it says some of their recollections may not be not be true based on their consumption of illegal and legal substances.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Got a whole
they obviously
year.
their minds were widened, which I certainly can't say is a bad thing. If that's what you need to widen your mind. But I
And
don't think
what's
you
been
actually
great
need
with
anything
you
to
is,
widen your mind. Pardon?
I've seen you performing on a video with Stephen Brunton.
Yes. Which one? The
That
one
was
in
marvellous.
was that when we did Fight War Not Wars? Was it that, or was it an actual live gig?
It was in the studio, I think, with lots of other
Oh,
people.
that's when we were recording Natural Noise, which was Stephen Brunton's project, where instead of using musicians, it's all done with the voice and snapping fingers. I'm not very good. I can't snap my fingers unless I lick my fingers first. So yeah, so there's like snaps, but I'm not very good at that. And then there were claps, and which I have to think really hard about. And then lots of hurr, 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 which if you are a fan of Natural Noise, then you will recognise. Yeah, I absolutely love Jesus Hooligan, and we were fans for ages. And then Stephen said, come and join us on this project I'm doing, Natural Noise. So I went and joined on Natural Noise project. Both of us did that, and stomping of feet and all that. We got a bit of board in the studio to stand on and stomp because it was carpet and it didn't work otherwise. That was great.
We watched him last night.
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
To
was he on
me,
an
Jesus
oil drum
Hooligan.
outside? Was he doing that one? Bang!
No, he was using his chains indoors. And what I liked is it's for me a bit like combining Viking warriors with the chain gang.
Yes. Yeah,
So it
I've
has
always
kind of
thought
that.
of Chain Gang.
I thought it was marvellous.
It's so
Wonderful
good.
people.
It's very, you can't stop watching it. We've done quite a few gigs as well with them, and Paul's played guitar on it as well live. And we did a really good show. Where was it? It was, I think it's Ballstock it's called, and it's in Cambridgeshire, and it's a festival that Baldock, the town of Baldock, put on every summer, and they have all of the town turns into a festival, and it's a lot of metal in it. And it was brilliant. It's just like walking. I suppose it's what Rebellion's like. Not that I've ever been, but it's a whole town that's turned into a music event. It's like the way it should be in every town, I think. But yeah, we went along and performed at that. It's so good. The crowd is amazing, and because he brings in the barrels and everyone gets involved and bangs on the drums, and so the crowd will get to do it as well, and you get kids doing it, hopefully with ear defenders. It's really loud. Really, really, really loud. But yeah, I love it.
Very cathartic though, banging.
Yes.
You come out of it feeling lighter and less angry and less bound up, and I think really we should be teaching our children at school to bang things.
Yeah, well, I must say I feel like that after doing an anarchistwood gig. When I come off stage, I do feel like I've got all that out, all that anger, all that, maybe that's why I've been moaning at the government so much vocally, because I'm not singing. Yeah. Usually I don't go on and on and on and on and on and on about it, but at the moment, anyway, I think I've got to say another track now, don't I?
Yeah, your last one.
Well, I couldn't really let this event, this Desert Island Vids go without having one of my favourite all-time bands on, which is Butthole Surfers, and this track is Pepper. And the video, again, these are videos I really, really, really like. There's loads of tracks I could have chosen, which I actually enjoy, loads of other music. Even more possibly, I could go into all the sort of singer-songwriter stuff that I really was into when I was younger, like Lou Reed and Joni Mitchell, that sort of stuff. But, when you're looking at a visual thing, Butthole Surfers, I think because they'd actually got signed by a major record label and they had money, woohoo! And they did this fabulous video where it is, again, a story. It's a whole story about a kidnapping ring. and Gibby is the main perpetrator in it, and so I just was so like fascinated when I watched the video, and it looks like it's all old 50s footage, news footage, and it's obviously been made that way, but you're looking at it and you look at this old footage, you think, oh, they've just got that from archives, and then you go, that's Gibby, that's Paul, oh my, they are, and then Gibby's actually singing the words of the song, and it just blew my mind. I was so excited about that video. I love it. And then all the bits where they're doing the sort of American TV like bandstand show where they're, you know, doing the synchronized dancing, and they've got the riot cops in also ending up doing the synchronized dancing. It's so good. The only thing missing in that video, to be honest, is Teresa Nervosa, the drummer, who we absolutely adore. We met her at Butlins when we went to Minehead. And we met pretty much all of Butthole surfers when we went to ATP, the Melvins ATP at Minehead. So it's a shame Teresa's not in that. But otherwise, it's like one of the most banging videos ever. Maybe I should redo it and just put her in the corner hitting something.
That's what I like, though. You're very much, because you're a filmmaker as well, you understand the medium better, and you understand that it is a vehicle to tell a story, to give. It's not just like singing a song. It's different. No. You're giving a different message.
Yeah. And you can make all sorts. I mean, it's easy to make a video. I've just been making a video recently for my friend Mark Charles for his new record that's coming out, and it's absolutely really enjoying making videos. And therefore, when I watch a video, I need to be entertained, because I'm watching so much constantly that I suppose you get a little bit I don't know, blind to it. So, or very picky. Bit more like a bit like my music taste, I suppose. Very picky.
When it comes to Anarchist Wood, I suppose for me, I see similarities between the work that you do and Rights of Hadder.
Oh right, yes. Well, we've got a very witchy element to us, and very bassy as well. So that's one thing I really appreciate with them, is the bass. It's already having it. Aren't you, Liam?
And Wilderness Wasp is very much he's like you in the other band.
I think I'm gonna have to check that. Is the makeup the same?
No, it's with
I bet
all
they're
his
better,
lights
and they can actually do their whole face instead of coughing out.
So it's been wonderful seeing you. How are things in London? Are they improving at all?
It's pretty much back to normal in terms of traffic. It's still quiet. The queues for the shops are huge, but we never really had much of a problem with that, because we haven't hardly been to a supermarket since it all happened. We go to our locals, so it's fine. And there's one shop we go to quite often called the Fruit Garden, which is so expensive we usually don't go, but there's never a queue there. And it's a really good healthy shop, but it's a bit pricey, but it's good stuff. So yeah, it's all right. And as far as my my job goes, I'm going to be working from home for the foreseeable future, so that's absolutely fine with me. I like it. But I'm looking forward to getting back out to gigs and seeing people face to face and singing outdoors at a festival, please. Hopefully with Convoy Cabaret again, because they've just been amazing last year, and that still will be.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope that soon we'll be able to see you in the flesh. I do think for me, one of the interesting things is, now the city centres are starting to shut shop-wise, maybe people are going to have to find something else to do with their time.
Be creative. Creative.
Investigatory of who you are, rather than, because we cannot just be human beings who are born to consume then die.
No, absolutely not. We have to contribute. We can't be a consumer all our lives. We need to put out as well. And it makes you happy. It really does, because then you get a sense of pride and enjoyment in what you're doing and contributing. And then you go and watch other people do their thing, and you go, oh, wow, that's really good. Right, okay. And then someone else does it. And all together, yeah, it's beautiful. And it's one of the things I'm really enjoying, watching the girls in Sierra Leone dancing. And it's so gorgeous. And I really appreciate that. It's just pure and beautiful. And keep doing it, girls. You know, that's the way forward.
That noise from the distance said we have less than a minute. So
I know, I've been watching.
God bless you.
Thank
Look
you
after
too.
yourself.
It's
Take
wonderful
care.
to see you. See you next time.
Lovely to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
got with Sharon, and Sharon got Charisse. She was sharing Sharon's outlook on the topic of disease. Mikey had a facial scar and Bobby was a racist. They were all in love with dying, they were doing it in Texas. Tommy played piano like a kid out in the rain, and then he lost his leg in Dallas. He was dancing with the train. They were all in love with dying, they were drinking from a fountain that was pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain.
I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows. I can taste you on my lips and smell you in my clothes. Cinnamon and sugar and softly spoken lies. You never know just how to look through other people's eyes.
Hot pursuit and fiery auto crashes. Some will die in hot pursuit while sifting through my ashes. Some will fall in love with life and drink it from a fountain that is pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain.
I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows. I can taste you on my lips and smell you in my clothes. Cinnamon and sugar and softly spoken lies. You never know just how you look through other people's eyes.
Another Mikey took a knife while arguing in traffic. Flipper died a natural death, he caught a nasty virus. And then there was the ever-present football player rapist. They were all in love with dying, and they were doing it in Texas. Ollie caught a bullet, but it only hit his leg. Well, it should have been a better shot, got him in the head. They were all in love with dying, they were drinking from a fountain that was pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain.
I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows. I can taste you on my